Texas Command Center, deep behind enemy lines, the information war continues. It's Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
It is Sunday, the 5th day of December, 2010. We're going to be live here on this Sunday broadcast for the next 2 hours. Webster Tarpley, economist and doctor of history, will be joining us to look at the amazing developments in the economy. Just 7 days ago, last Monday, the federal government announced that a little over $1 trillion have been given to offshore banks, and that also hundreds of billions had gone to private domestic corporations here in the United States, including MSNBC and NBC Television through their parent company, General Electric. Now, again, I covered this in my film, The Obama Deception, a year and a half ago. We knew hundreds of billions went to foreign banks and then through subsidiaries to U.S. corporations, buying them off, but we didn't know the full magnitude. And I had pointed out that there was surely trillions more, not just the $1 trillion. Here's Bloomberg today. Fed created conflicts in improvising $3.3 trillion financial system rescue. And of course, I had previous Bloombergs reporting the total number is above $28 trillion. So we're going to be talking about that with Tarpley coming up. We're also going to be getting into the latest developments on the Wikileaks front. That story is just getting crazier and crazier. We're going to get Lord Monckton on coming up during the week from the climate change, global government, global taxation, fear-mongering summit going on in Cancun, Mexico. There's some WikiLeaks angles on that as well. You know, I'm still open-minded to a great extent on the WikiLeaks situation, though I respect Wayne Madsen, Webster Tarpley, Bob Chapman, many others who say it reads like classic psyop or disinformation, that there's some nuggets mixed in there to make you take the bait, kind of like a bass biting on a top water, lure. But when you really look at the full spectrum of it, it just bolsters the pro-war global government propaganda about attacking Iran, Iraq, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and so much more. They know when they put the propaganda out on the nightly news, none of us buy into it. But when they put it in secret cables and then leak it out there, and then the main body of it pushes the WMDs in Iraq fable and things like that, it does make it very suspicious. And I predicted months ago with some of the previous leaks, they would use this to clamp down on free speech in the U.S. and the Internet, and legislation's now been introduced to do that, new legislation, not just the Cybersecurity Act. So we're going to be discussing that coming up as well, and looking more at real discrimination in this country. We tend to get conditioned that discrimination can only be discussed by the ADL or the Southern Poverty Law Center or the NAACP. But what about all the other forms of real discrimination that go on? I mean, things that are bona fide, like Obama signing hundreds and hundreds of waivers for major Fortune 500 corporations that don't have to buy their employees health care, but then your company will. How are you going to compete with that? And I know I've been talking about this a lot, but it just really blows me away. In fact, guys, I want to talk about that coming up out of the break. Will you pull me Friday's article out of MSNBC with the Small Business Association, pointing out that 97% of stimulus money goes to globalist corporations, and that they're now trying to pass a bill where the government can just deny any of the funds to U.S. companies or small corporations or businesses in Pentagon bids. I mean, this is a giant globalist scam. That's what NAFTA, GATT, WTO, all of this is about, the big mega insiders writing laws to suppress regular, normal, grassroots, free market business and conduiting all business into their coffers. Same thing with the Food Safety Act that's passed the Senate. Now it has to go back to the Senate because the spending bill can't originate in the Senate. That's the law and the Constitution. But they don't need any stinking Constitution. That's meant to shut down the small farms and ranches. Who funded it? Big mega agribusiness. It's the same story over and over again. It's all coming up today. More on the TSA and a lot more straight ahead. Stay with us. We'll be right back. This is Alex Jones with 5 good reasons you should consider buying a solar power generator. Number 1, new climate legislation could easily double or triple your electric bill. Number 2, our new energy czar wants to control how much power your electric company allows you to have. It's true. Total government control of electricity in the name of smart grid technology is coming. Number 3, in some areas of the country, the power grid is dangerously overloaded. And now new socialist legislation is only compounding the problem. Number 4, dangerous weather is always a threat to local grids. Every year, thousands of families lose their power from weather-related outages. Number 5, a solar power generator provides powerful backup insurance and peace of mind. Folks, I really believe in the solar power generators offered by Solutions from Science, one of my oldest sponsors. You can get more information at www.mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com. Remember, the government doesn't own the sun, so go to mysolarbackup.com or call 1-877-327-0365.
The Genesis Communications Radio Network proudly presents The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
It is Sunday. We're here every Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, blasting out on the AM and FM dial all across this fine land, simulcasting on global shortwave, and also the #1 show streamed on the internet at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. We have economist and, again, a doctor of history, Webster Tarpley, joining us coming up in about 30 minutes from now to get into his breakdown of Wikileaks and who they really work for and what this full spectrum of leaks means. The head of Wikileaks, Julian Assange, is now saying that if anybody arrests him or if anything happens to him physically, that he's going to release a giant insurance file that's already been given to tens of thousands of people that he has the secret encryption code to, and that it will dwarf all the previous leaks if anything happens to him. And then you've got Bill O'Reilly and others saying he should be executed. We're going to talk about who he supposedly works for. So why don't we discuss executing who he works for? And Glenn Beck in the last week has been basically mirroring and repeating what this show's talked about for more than a year, intensely for 6 months, the clear connections from Julian Assange to George Soros. And so Webster Tarpley will be talking about that coming up again in about 27 minutes from now. Then we'll get into Fed-created conflicts in improvising, $3.3 trillion financial system rescue, and that's Bloomberg, reporting on the $3.3 trillion. Again, just a week ago, it was $1 trillion. Now it's $3.3 trillion that the private Federal Reserve gave to people like MSNBC. Your tax money. And MSNBC admits they kept that secret. There's a reason MSNBC is cartoonish as they pose as liberals. They're not liberals. It's General Electric Pentagon operation playing the part of liberals to make liberals look like complete buffoons. And it's the same thing with Fox. They're meant to make conservatives look like complete fools. And to keep people in the left-right paradigm while discrediting both wings of the same bird of prey and controlling the opposition. So we're going to be discussing that today as well. You know, you go back 110 years ago, there weren't discussions about left and right in this country. There were discussions about right and wrong. There were discussions about the corrupt mega-rich trying to suppress and dominate and rob the general population. That's what the talks were about in 1776, in the 1830s, in the 1860s, in 1913. Americans knew who their enemy was. The mega-rich that are bigger than any corporation, that are bigger than any government, that are bigger with their combined forces than any major empire. That is what societies have been facing for so long throughout history. You see, it's the mega corporations that lobby for socialism on record at the grassroots to then transfer your wealth into their hands through government. And they can use government to shut down their competition. As much fun as it is to hate communists and hate Obama and say he's a communist when he's financed by Wall Street, the facts are, and this is even the Wall Street Journal of all places, big insurance wrote the health care plan to make you buy health insurance, to rip you off, and to raise the prices. On record. And there is no pre-existing coverage. The feds can now deny people coverage. They can lower the standards of quality. It takes the medical system away from doctors and gives it to government. The TSA is meant to destroy the 10th Amendment and seize control of all infrastructure and transportation. It's on record, $12 million given just in the last month. Caller called in about it last week. I looked it up. It was true. $12 million given in November to the Senate alone by mega agra, the giant big agribusiness cartels, to pass the, quote, Food Safety Act. Almost all the big violations of the food quality on record have been the big mega agribusiness. And, I mean, you see it in the news all the time. Tyson can have 1,000 violations at one plant. A smaller outfit can have one violation. They're shut down. That's how this works. And so big agribusiness, they gave $12 million just in the last month to the Senate to pass the bill. Now, the Senate was so arrogant, they knew the big rule, no spending bill can be created in the Senate. It has to be created in the House. It has to originate there. So now it's going back to the Senate. But look at how the insurance takeover with the government health care written by the big insurance companies. Look at how the takeover of the farms and ranches written by big mega agribusiness. Look at how the big mainline dinosaur media is supporting internet takeover by the government. Look at how on every front this stuff is written by the government for the big mega corporations that are waging war against the free market. Now, I've got a bunch of examples of this today, and people need to shift their paradigm. Just like you can program a computer wrong, or you can brainwash a child from birth and program their brain wrong, we have literally been given false political roadmaps, and that's why you can't have an educated discussion with the average American or European for that matter, because they're so disconnected from reality, so tied in to the distractions and the pageantry and the way the media hypes it up that the buck stops with the president, when presidents have been puppets in this country for a very, very long time. We have to look past all the political distractions and really get to the meat and potatoes of how this world actually operates. And here's an example of that today that I've been harping on quite a bit. This is in AP, Fox, you name it. Obama administration grants health care waivers to big companies' unions. McDonald's got a break, as did 351,000 members of United Federation of Teachers, and it just goes on and on and on. And he's issuing every week or two hundreds of new waivers. Obama the puppet is. So the insurance companies write law that allows them to cut back the quality of care that you get and control what doctors and nurses and medical practitioners are engaged in. And they then go in and make 30+ million people, if this goes ahead and gets implemented this coming year, buy insurance that's overpriced. Just like the insurance lobbies, you've all got to have car insurance. Just like they're trying to lobby, you've got to have more insurance on your house. This is a great business model, just like the vaccine makers. They've got hundreds of new vaccines. They want the government to try to make it mandatory for you to take them. It's a really simple business model. The Ritalin and Prozac makers are on record spending tens of millions a year, in some cases per state, but billions over the years, lobbying to have schools promote Ritalin, Prozac, and other drugs on school kids. It's real simple. They have the authority figures paid off to tell you to take their drugs. I mean, this is the real business model in this country and worldwide. That's what globalism is, a bunch of insiders doing this. So, big insurance comes in and openly writes the bill. But they don't have to worry because they can just blame the commies. The commies are just their little street soldiers, their little rent-a-mob to say, see, the general public wants socialism. And you notice all the government-funded big universities promote communism and socialism because that's what the robber barons want. They want a big, domesticated, dumbed-down, drooling herd of dependent people that if they don't get their welfare